I'm walking through a ghost town, y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down, don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong, don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. You were lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page, but we still read that book, and we still run that race. Ay. Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. Ay. Red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. I am Chris, and of course, that over there, that is Mo. Mo, we got football tonight, my guy.
We got football, so I'm ready for it. The anticipation. It's been a long wait. Football is back.
Mo, in my opinion, in my experience, when you have to tell somebody over and over and over again that you're happy and you want to be here and everything is okay, you're not happy and you don't want to be here. And on some level, everything is not okay. And that is how I feel every time I see a story about Davante Adams and how happy he is with the Raiders and how he wants to be a Raider and how everything is good with the Raiders. Do I think on some level Davante Adams is okay being a Raider? Yes, I do. I think that the new Antonio Pierce has done a great job of fixing the culture, and his players want to play for him. But Mo, when you keep saying over and over and over again, I'm good, guy. Not really. I want to be here. I love being a Raider. Something's boiling up underneath the surface. There's a reason they keep asking you over and over. Are you really happy? You sure? You sure? You good? Do you want to go be a Jet? What do you? They wouldn't keep asking if there wasn't some sort of indication, Mo, that he wasn't happy.
And look, you have to understand that in his career right now, I believe he's 31 years old. It wasn't that long ago, Chris, where he was one of the top wide receivers. At one point, he was considered the best wide receiver in football. So do I think that he wouldn't mind or would enjoy playing for an Antonio Pierce coach team? Absolutely. But I also think that he was on a team that was a perennial contender, that had a legit shot to come out of the conference. And now being on the Raiders, again, he's closer to the end of his career than the beginning. I think as an individual talent, don't you think he still wants to be talked with Jefferson, with Tyreek and those guys? And he knows that because of the Raiders situation at quarterback, the likelihood that he's going to be able to put up those kind of numbers to stay within that conversation, they're slim to none. Don't get me wrong. He's a great, great receiver. But look, you still got to have somebody that can consistently get him the football. And I think the combination of where he falls in the league going forward and his legacy overall, combined with the fact that he knows he's on a team that's not contending. He's on a team, to be honest, is more like rebuilding, right? So yes, he wants to sound like the good guy, Chris, and go, no, I love it here. I love Coach Pierce, and that might be true. But I don't think he's happy. I don't think none of us believe he's happy because, look, guys have egos. Guys have agendas. They also have brands. And I think that he looks at his surroundings and he's anything but happy.
Another wide receiver who is trying to refine themselves, rebrand themselves, repivot, say what you will, is Stefon Diggs with the Houston Texans. Reports out of Houston are that Stefon Diggs has gone through training camp in the preseason with a chip on his shoulder. Reports are that Stefon Diggs still thinks that he is one of the best, if not the best receiver in the NFL. In fact, the words out of Stefon Diggs' own mouth last week, Mo, were, "It's not like I forgot how to play football last season in Buffalo," referring to his struggles that he had in Buffalo. I believe at one point he was 12 or 13 straight games in Buffalo last season with under 100 yards receiving. And then he was literally a non-factor in the closing weeks of the season last year with Buffalo into the playoffs. Mo, Stefon Diggs is 100% the reason he is not in Buffalo. I don't blame anybody else. I don't blame the Bills. I don't blame Josh Allen. I don't blame their general manager. I don't blame their head coach. I don't blame their offensive coordinator. I blame Stefon Diggs. Just like I said years ago, that Stefon Diggs is 100% the reason he is no longer a Minnesota Viking. I didn't blame Kirk Cousins. I didn't blame the Minnesota Vikings. I didn't blame their general manager. I didn't blame their offensive coordinator. I blamed Stefon Diggs. You don't have to be a big fan of the Buffalo Bills who have watched the Bills these last 2 seasons and just with your own eyeballs walked away saying, him and Josh Allen don't seem to get along that much, do they? Because every time there was a little adversity, Mo, what happened? He's on the sideline throwing a temper tantrum. And this happened a lot towards the end of the season 2 years ago. And it happened a lot during the entire season last year. And then there came a point, and I would imagine this would happen to anyone, when you're unhappy enough and you're upset enough and you're complaining enough, there comes a point where it affects your on-field production. And then he started to get a case of the drops. And he would start dropping easy catches that he would normally make over the middle of the field. And then it built and built and built. And it got to the point where it just looked like he wore out his welcome in Buffalo. So you can get traded to Houston all you want. You can have the chip on your shoulder. You can say that I'm still one of the best or the best receiver in the National Football League. You can say that Buffalo made a mistake. And I'm going to come out this season. I'm going to prove to Buffalo that they were wrong to trade me away. You can say all those things. And I hope that as a professional and an athlete and a player, those things motivate you and lead you to having one of your best and most productive seasons of your career. But all of that is window dressing for you, Stefon Diggs. All of that is what gets you out of bed in the morning and gets you to show up to your job and perform well. Because I don't think you're the best receiver on your team. I don't think you're going to be viewed as the number 1 or even the number 2 option on your team. At times, you'll be the number 1. At times, you'll be the number 2. At times, you're going to be the number 3 option on your team. And I hope you can handle that. I hope that when there's stretches of plays where the first look and the second look don't come your way, that you're not doing the same nonsense you were doing last season in Buffalo when every look came your way, when 60+% of the looks came your way, when you had double the receptions of the next closest player on the team and triple the balls thrown to you than the next closest player on your team, and it still wasn't enough. OMO, it's not like, they were losing. They've won the division 4 years in a row in the AFC East. So you're winning division title after division title, but yet you still need the ball more. But yet you're still picking fights with your quarterback on the sidelines. But yet you're still throwing temper tantrums because you aren't being fed enough when you're being fed 2 or 3 times more than anybody else on your team. But you're right, Mo. It's the Bills. It's the Bills. It's the Bills. It's a Bills issue. It's not a Stefon Diggs issue. No.
And yet, I feel like there's always going to be a honeymoon period with Stefon Diggs. I think he's going to be a great teammate with the Texans until he's not a great teammate. And he's doing all the right things, saying all the right things. And do I think that he can still play at a high level? I do. But when you factor in Nico Collins along with Tank Dell, the ball's going to be spread out even more than it was in Buffalo. Can he be a good teammate if he's productive? Let's say he goes for just 1,000 yards, just barely gets 1,000 yards, but he's the second or third leading receiver on the team. Can he be that good teammate if Collins or Dell goes to the Pro Bowl and gets those kind of accolades and be all pro, and he's not? That's the big question. Is he going to put winning above his individual numbers or goals? It sounds like he can say the right things. Let's see if he can do it. I will say this. If he starts becoming the Stefon Diggs that we know, I don't think DeMeco Ryans will have a hard time shutting that down. I don't think he's going to let that be something that lingers. So, look, I actually think when I look at Diggs right now, he's at a crossroads. You're at that stage in your career. You've had a terrific career statistic-wise, but you're at that stage in your career where this is like everything says this could be a legitimate contender. It should be about winning and not just myself. It should be about something bigger than myself. And I think if he can't make it work with the Texans, and look, I'm not rooting against him, but my gut feeling is at some point, if and when, he will move on from the Texans. I don't think he retires a member of the Texans. I think he's one of those guys who's very T.O.-like, that there's a honeymoon period, and then he kind of grinds down the locker room, and he starts becoming his true self, and then the act gets old, and somebody moves on from him.
Let's not forget, he spent time with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. I know Kirk hasn't had the playoff success, but if you look at Kirk Cousins' numbers in Minnesota, easily top 15, top 10 quarterback in the league his time as a Viking. Then he goes to Josh Allen. Josh Allen, easily, most view him as a top 5, if not a top 3 quarterback, the time that he spent with Josh Allen in Buffalo. And now he is going to Houston with CJ Stroud, who many have already put in the top 10 list of quarterbacks coming into this season based off of his rookie campaign last year, Mo. He's got a lot of great quarterback talent around him. You could be in worse spots is all I'm saying. There are many other very talented wide receivers in the NFL that have never had the opportunity to play with one of the names that I just mentioned. And you have now had the opportunity to play with, or when this upcoming season with CJ, with 3 of them. So again, hopefully he does everything that you just said. He takes it in stride. There is a honeymoon period, but keep in mind, for all of you Stefon Diggs fans out there, the honeymoon period usually involves him being the best wide receiver on the team. That's when the honeymoon period takes place. Again, I don't think he's coming into Houston as the best wide receiver on the team. I think he is coming into Houston almost, and this is going to upset some people, almost the way that Odell's coming into Miami. He's the third guy who has potential, if needed, maybe sometimes, to be a really good wide receiver. Now, I think he's got more juice left in the tank than Odell does, especially because of the injury history.
No doubt.
But at the same time, I don't think Houston is looking at him as a guy that's going to come in and take over. He is in his early 30s. He is on a 1-year deal. They have 2 stud young wide receivers whose growth and chemistry with CJ Stroud, they are not going to hinder. I think they view him as a complimentary third piece. And he is coming in because that is not the way he views himself.
Right.
So,
Chris, I'm only laughing because he sees himself as, well, it's me and those 2 other guys. And right. and because I'm on the field, and look, I'm not saying Diggs can't play at a high level, but if you're right and he's the third guy, it's going to be a very short honeymoon.
Another guy who fans just want to see play football is Ja'Marr Chase. Apparently, the Bengals have made multiple significant offers. I don't know what that means. I don't know what those numbers are, but apparently it is multiple significant offers to Ja'Marr Chase. However, Ian Rappaport describes the contract negotiations as close, but not quite where they need to be. Bengal fans, football starts tonight. This is not where you want to be. You already have one wide receiver who doesn't even want to be on the team anymore You lost your third best wide receiver to the Tennessee Titans in the offseason. You lost your starting running back to the Houston Texans in the offseason. What are we doing? Pay him. Give him what he wants. The highest paid wide receiver is making 35. Great. The conversation starts at 36. No, we're not giving you 40. We'll give you a 37.5. Sign it. Let's go. He wants to be I don't know him, but I would imagine he wants to be the highest wide receiver in the league. Why aren't we just giving him 36? I can't imagine he's asking for 37, 38, or 39. You know how these deals work. Who's making the most? Oh, they're making 35. If it starts with a 36, we're good. That's how it works.
I would go a step further. You could do a contract and work some little gymnastics behind it, kind of like the Ayuk deal where it's really backloaded. Guarantee him more money. Maybe he doesn't make more per year, but let's say he gets more guaranteed money. That's all he needs when he walks around those other guys and go, I mean, yeah, per year, but I actually have the guaranteed money. So there it is. Like, you can find a way. I will say this because the NFL Genius touched on this yesterday, and he's right. Remember that ownership, it's a family thing. Paul Brown passed it down to the current owner, it's his son, and they're not rich in the sense that they own multiple things. Like their income comes from owning the Bengals. They're not filthy rich. And so they don't really have the money that a lot of owners have. I don't know if they can afford to backload a contract, because when you talk about guaranteed money, that's money coming from them, right? That's out of their pocket. And that's the struggle. I think they want to pay him. I don't know if they can pay him, but what I will say is this: if you can't pay him and this strings out longer, you're setting Joe Burrow up for failure. You're setting your season up for failure. In that division, you cannot afford to get off to a bad start. I just think, why do these teams wait to the last minute to go, okay, we're going to pay him? When you know you're going to do one of two things. You're going to pay him or you're going to trade him. But you have to make a decision now. You just pointed out football season starts tonight.
I wish Jerry Jones would stop talking. That's what I wish. Jerry Jones he's talking again. He said yesterday that Dak will age well. What the hell that means? Is he going to age well on your team, Jerry? That's what we're all wondering. Where is he going to age well? Dak Prescott is 31 years old. Is he going to be a Dallas Cowboy next season? We have another update on the Dak Cowboy contract situation. It's not close. Not close is the update. They remain extremely far apart from finalizing a deal, on the verge of it being the season opener. So Dak will not have a deal going into week 1 of the season. And I said this a few weeks ago: if Dak Prescott does not have a contract going into the season, you better buckle up, because one of two things is going to happen. At some point during the season, things are going to start to fall apart, and it's not going to go well, because he knows he's not coming back. And that's very hard to play with throughout the season. Or he's going to put on his big boy britches, and you are going to see a Dak Prescott you have never seen in your entire life before, because all of a sudden, Dak has a chip on his shoulder. And the moment for Dak is going to be when he leaves the Super Bowl, win or lose. I don't care if you win or lose it. And then the offer comes and he goes, nah, I'm good. Thanks, though, Jerry. Hope you age well. And he walks out the freaking door, because that's where we're going with this. But that's not all Jerry Jones said. Jerry Jones also said that he admires Deion Sanders and the job that he is doing as a head coach over with Colorado, which, of course, Mo, you know where that's going to go. Do you admire him enough to make him the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Because in the back of everyone's mind, if Dak Prescott leaves, until it doesn't happen, there is that question: will the Cowboys draft Shedeur? Will the Cowboys hire Deion Sanders? Is this all just lining up for the Sanders to be running Dallas next season? Until it doesn't happen, we're going to keep asking. But Mo, this isn't great. And it hasn't been great. CD got his money. That's great. but that's really been the only attaboy, Jerry, that you can really give for the past, 5 months.
And he got his money begrudgingly, right? Like
Right.
it wasn't like we know CD needs his money. Let's iron something out right away. Like it was very last minute. And I'm looking at Dak Prescott. Yeah, I agree with Jerry Jones. Barring a major injury, quarterbacks today, they're playing into their late 30s. Their careers are longer. They're better conditioned. They have better nutritionists, the whole nine. Yeah, I do believe Dak will age well. I don't believe he'll be aging on the Dallas Cowboys. And like I said the other day, Chris, I kind of think Jerry's okay with that. You alluded to he's already starting the low key campaign about how he admires Deion. Pretty soon he'll start talking about Deion's always been family and he won titles here. We love Prime because obviously if you get Prime, no matter what your draft position is, you're probably going to get his son because Deion's going to tell Shedeur, well, I don't care who drafts you. We're not going. Tell him we're not going to. You know how that goes. He's going to strong arm.
He's already talking about it. He talked about it last year. He talked about how Shedeur and Travis, there are certain teams they're not going to play for if they are drafted by them. At the time, we were like, you're prognosticating like a year and a half ahead of time that they're not going to play for certain teams. What are you doing? And now here we are at the start of this college football season looking ahead, and you're like, oh, what if he's drafted by the Dallas Cowboys? That would be something. And then, oh, what if someone else wants him and Deion's like, no, he won't play for you. Can he strong arm his son to the Dallas Cowboys if he's going to be the? I think he can.
Yes, sir. You said it. Look, nobody plays this game the way it's played. I'm talking about the stuff outside of football, the outside stuff, better than Deion Sanders. And he will tell you how much he loves being in Colorado. But if he gets an opportunity to coach the Dallas Cowboys and control the destination of not just his son, but Travis as well, yeah, Jerry Jones is going to co-sign on that. And he'll take the lumps that come with that because you and I know, as much as Jerry says he loves Deion, once Deion's in the building, Jerry's not telling Deion what to do. It's not going to happen. There will be a new sheriff in town. And I don't even know how long that's going to work. But my guess is Deion will get some really great contract where it says that Shedeur and Travis will remain members of the Cowboys as long as I'm the head. Something crazy like that. Like when I go, they go.
Mo, the NFL season is upon us. It kicks off tonight with the Ravens at the Chiefs. It is 8:20 p.m. Eastern time on NBC and Peacock. The last time that we saw these two teams together, it was in January in the AFC Championship game, a game where we thought the Ravens were going to win, a game where many people thought the Ravens were going to win after the season that they had, after the playoff run that they had. And it just didn't end up working out that way. Lamar Jackson is 1-4 in his career against Patrick Mahomes. The first time he beat him was recently. It was the last regular season game they played against each other. It was in Baltimore. I believe it was something crazy like 36-35 or something along those lines. But he lost his first 3 regular season matchups to Mahomes, beat him in his most recent regular season matchup, and then lost the playoff game. Obviously, all the storylines are here because they were just in the AFC Championship game together, and this is the last time that we saw Lamar and the Ravens on the field. But these are not the same teams that met in the AFC Championship game for the first time in forever. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens have what they think is going to be a legitimate running back and a legitimate running game this season, as they went and got King Henry. Derrick Henry leaves the Tennessee Titans. He is now with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, fingers crossed, knock on wood, do what you got to do right now if you are a Baltimore Ravens fan. We have talked many a seasons since Lamar has been there about how great the running back room looks coming into the season, only to hit the middle of the season and be like, wow, they don't have a single healthy running back in Baltimore. I hope that is not the situation with Derrick Henry. I hope he plays through the entire season. I hope injury luck is on his side. I also don't think Derrick Henry is a great fit in Baltimore, and I will continue to say that until I see something change with their offense to show me that they are able to properly utilize Derrick Henry. We're going to find out tonight. But Mo, you are looking at a situation with the Kansas City Chiefs. This is an interesting tidbit. Patrick Mahomes is 5-5 in home primetime games against non-divisional opponents since his first full year as a starter in 2018. Stats are just for the sake of being stats, but it is interesting. There's not many stats out there you can pull for Patrick Mahomes where he is 500 or below against something or somebody. But this one happens to exist.
Yeah. I think there's another one. I think Andy Reid is not great in opening games. He's kind of underwater when it comes to his record in opening games. So I get it. Everything points to the Ravens are going to get their revenge tonight. That may happen. I don't know if that's revenge because you said it the other day on the show when you said, yeah, if the Ravens win, they're going to be talking about all year long. The theme's going to be like, well, you've seen what they did to Kansas City. We're going to get into the playoffs. If these two teams should meet again, they're going to go, well, you know what the Ravens were able to do to them before. And that's good. And you know, and I know that's going to be a completely different Chiefs team by the time the playoffs roll around. I say this, and I said it to the NFL Genius and Will yesterday on yesterday's show. I think somehow, some way, Mahomes finds a way to break their hearts again. I think it might not be an explosive offense because you do have two of the top three defenses going against each other, right? So you don't expect a lot of big, explosive offensive plays, but I think 15 finds a way. He just does just enough to get the W.
Friday night, Mo, we have the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. It is being played in Brazil. I hope this goes off without any issues. We have been hearing for weeks about the potential issues this game might have being played in Brazil. But hopefully everything comes together and works out as it should. And we are only discussing football-related things in regards to this game. Mo, I think people forget that the secondary of the Philadelphia Eagles was not good last year, to the tune that it gave up the second most passing yards in the NFL last season. Now, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles have done a great job of rebuilding that secondary. They drafted a couple of rookie corners, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. I think they brought in a safety, I believe, as well. But this is also a Green Bay Packer team that looks a little bit different. So not only do they have Jordan Love coming back for his second full season, the Packers added Josh Jacobs. The Eagles went and they added Saquon Barkley. So you're looking at two stud running backs for both of these teams that I think they're both gonna have a huge impact on the success of these teams throughout the season. I am very torn here because you know how I feel about Jordan Love. So my heart initially says I want to go Eagles. I want to go Eagles with this pick. But at the same time, I look at it and I go, man, I don't like Nick Sirianni either. Is he going to have his team as a cohesive unit ready to go week one? And I don't know the answer to that. I can see the Eagles defense laying an egg here week one. And the hot seat heating up for Sirianni. Because, again, I said if he gets off to an 0-3 start, a 1-4 start, a 1-3 start, I think they're going to fire him. I think that this team is not going to sit around if they don't come out of the gate looking like the Super Bowl contender they should be in a division that is ripe for the picking because of what is going on in Dallas. So I look at it and I want to go Eagles. But at the same time, part of me is like, I don't trust that the Eagles are going to come out of the gate swinging like they should. So is that going to be an opportunity for the Packers to go in there and get a statement win, game one of the season against a potential Super Bowl or NFC championship contender in the Eagles? I can see both things happening. That being said, I I'm going to go Eagles. I'm going to go Eagles because I think Jordan Love is a good quarterback. I don't think he is what everyone is saying he is. And I think when you look at a quarterback that has listened, and I don't care what anyone says, Mo, unless you're Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, in this day and age in the NFL, no one's tuning out all that noise. They hear it. They say they tune it out, but they hear it. And Jordan Love has heard an entire offseason of he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. Well, he better go and ball out like one, Mo, because I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback in this league. I think he's more like a top 15, top 18 quarterback in this league. And when a top 15 or top 18 quarterback in the league starts thinking he's a top 10 quarterback, you're going to see some funny things happen out there. And I think he's going to see some funny things happen out there Friday night. I'm going Eagles over Packers.
Well, if you listen to Mike Tannenbaum,
dear God, why would you?
Tannenbaum says Jordan Love's going to throw for about 450 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Eagles. Now
that's what he said.
That's what Tannenbaum said. So he's telling me that they're going to blow the Eagles out.
I think he's got the Packers in the Super Bowl too.
Yeah, that's why you don't listen to Tannenbaum. But I do think it'll be a competitive game. I don't know how good the Eagles defense will be. I like what they did addressing their issues in the defensive backfield. But the question is, when you look at that front line, can they get pressure on Jordan Love? Because if they can't get any pressure on him, he's got a clean pocket, he will look like a top 10 quarterback. They have to find a way to at least get QB prep. They don't have to get sacks, but they have to make him get off his launch spot. And I don't know how good that front four is going to be. I think the Eagles' offense is going to be fine. I think they're going to be able to move the football. They're going to be able to put up points. The question is, can their defense balance out what their offense can do? And I'm not sure. I'm going to go Eagles because I don't believe Jordan Love's going to throw for 450 yards and 4 touchdowns. Although that's just an insane line, 450 and 4 touchdowns. I think the Packers have an interesting young receiving core. I think Jordan Love, like you said, is a good quarterback. I don't think, because a lot of people have him at top 5 quarterback, actually. A lot of people have Jordan Love winning they have him
MVP.
Some have him winning. Yeah, some have him winning MVP. Some have him in the top 3. I don't have him in any of those. I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's a great or one of the more dominant quarterbacks. I think the Eagles find a way to win first game of the season, get off to a good start. My own real question is what they do up front defensively, because you're still talking about one of the best offensive lines in football. Don't forget the elements that Saquon brings between the tackles and as a receiver. So I just think they have too much firepower to not score points.
The Steelers visit the Falcons week 1 of the season. You got Kirk Cousins coming off of the Achilles. You got Russell Wilson coming off of Denver. Both of these quarterbacks were drafted in 2012. Mo, interesting, completely random side stat here. This is the first time in NFL history that 2 quarterbacks with 12 plus years of experience are going to face each other week 1, debuting on different teams.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. We're full of random and kind of useless stats over here.
It's an interesting nugget.
But hey, a nugget is a nugget. This is obviously going to come down to quarterback play. I think Cousins is going to play better than Russell Wilson is. I think the Atlanta Falcons defense is also improved. The Steelers have a great defense, and they've always had a great defense, and they're going to continue to have a great defense. But at the end of the day, I think there are more weapons over on Atlanta. I know Deshaun Elliott, he came out yesterday and said, I've played with Tyreek Hill, but this George Pickens is built different. Okay. That's wonderful. That's great. Do the Dolphins play the Steelers this season? Because Tyreek's going to drop 200 on you if you're going to sit here and try to tell me George Pickens is built different and you're going to put Tyreek Hill's name in that conference. Good for you, Deshaun Elliott. Good for you. Close game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I'm taking the Falcons.
If it's a low-scoring game, then I'm going to favor the Steelers. I think if there's some points put up, it'll be more because of Atlanta's offense. The Steelers do have a great defense, but if their offense is going to go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, then the defense is there's going to be some holes in the defense just from wear and tear playing that many plays. I think Atlanta has enough weapons to where I like Atlanta's offense versus the Steelers' offense. Yes, both teams have great defenses, but the Steelers' offense, I feel like right now with the quarterbacks they have, it's built not to lose, not to attack you vertically, not, you know what I mean? Like, I think Tomlin wants to play 3 yards in a cloud of dust and rely on defense and special teams, which is not a bad strategy, especially when you look at the quarterbacks that they have. But that is one of those kind of offenses that you have a very small margin for error. Like everything has to go right. I think Atlanta's going to win because I don't think playing 3 yards in a cloud of dust in today's football, I don't think that works anymore.
Mo, did you know that since 2003, there have been 15 quarterbacks taken with the top pick in the NFL draft, and they have gone 0-14-1 in their NFL Week 1 debuts.
Wow.
I think that changes this weekend. Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears are going to beat Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. Mo, this is a Chicago Bears team that has never had a quarterback throw for over 4,000 yards in a single season in franchise history. They have 2 receivers coming off of 1,200-yard receiving seasons in Keenan Allen, who did it with the Chargers, and DJ Moore, who did it with the Bears. Add to that, Cole Kmet. They drafted Rome, and they also have DeAndre Swift over there. This is not a situation where the worst team in the NFL got the best quarterback in the draft. This is a situation where a below-average team in the NFL got the best quarterback in the draft and then went out and put a lot of nice pieces around him to make sure that he has what he needs for the first season. They're not making the playoffs, I don't think. But I do think they can win 7 or 8 games. And I do think they are going to beat Will Levis and the bargain basement free agent wide receiver crew that he has over there in Tennessee, because I don't understand it. I don't understand what we're doing at Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Bull. I don't understand what we're doing.
I think the Bears they're set up for success. I don't think they make the playoffs, but I do think with the weapons they put around Caleb Williams, they tried to address the offensive line. I think the Bears are a team, Chris, that's going to win maybe 7 or 8 games, be competitive in some other games. But I don't think they're going to be competitive week 1. I think they're going to beat the Tennessee Titans, and there may be some rookie hiccups here and there for Caleb Williams, but I think what mistakes he'll make up for with one of those, did you just see what he did moments, right? Like, he's got that kind of arm talent. He can move. I just think on the other side, the Bears defense, they don't have to look like the 85 Bears. They just have to be sound. And if you're sound, Levis is going to throw you a couple of picks.
We got the Jacksonville Jaguars heading to South Beach to take on the Miami Dolphins. Fun fact here, Mo, since Mike McDaniel took over as Miami's head coach in 2022, the Dolphins are 6-0 during the first 3 weeks of each season that he has coached, outscoring their opponents by an average of 13 points per game within those victories. There is speed, and then there is Miami speed, and it is tough to open up a season those first few weeks and see the speed the Dolphins have with their tempo and their offense and what they are doing. And they're a track team. And we've seen the past 2 years, as the season wears on, teams figure it out, teams adjust, teams are able to make leeway into it. But the last 2 seasons, to open up that first month of the season, teams struggle with it. Teams that have seen it before struggle with it. Also, I'm filled with useless information this morning, Mo. Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins, they are the team that is calling that game for the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins are 7-0 when Kevin Harlan is on the call. This is a huge thing in Miami. We love Kevin Harlan when he calls our games. The Dolphins have never lost a game that Kevin Harlan has called. Oh, and by the way, they average 38 points a game when Kevin Harlan and Trent Green work their games. Can we just get Kevin and Trent
for the
to
playoffs,
do the December games?
Yes.
That's all we're missing. Where is Kevin and Trent in December when we need them the most?
Right.
Who are they doing? They're not doing our games. That's for sure. I think the Dolphins are going to win by 8 or 9 points here. I'm going Miami.
I'm going Miami as well. Like you said, it's a track meet, and it comes in pairs, Tyreek and Waddle. And then you look at the backfield. You have two backs that can take a play to the house on a given play. I love the way they put you on your heels. And to your point, can they do that? Can they adjust when teams adjust later in the year, right? Readjust again and go, our offense is a little bit more diversified this season than last year. I think Tua is going to be better, sharper in that system. He's mastering that system. I think if Etienne can stay healthy along with Mostert, one of the two is going to be 1,000-yard back. I just think Miami's a lot of firepower. I think they get out to a fast start, and it starts Sunday.
We got the Rams at the Lions. This is going to be my upset pick of the week. I think that the Rams are going to steal one here. I know it's in Detroit. I love the Lions, by the way. I love the Lions. I have them going to the NFC Championship game. This is not hate on the Lions, but Mo, we're going to have disappointments in week one. We are going to have some teams where you're like, oh man, that kind of sucked. And I think Detroit is going to be oh man, that kind of sucked. Matthew Stafford hasn't won in Detroit since leaving in 2021. He is playing in Detroit. He is healthy. The Rams are healthy. I love their offense. I love everything about both of these teams. I think this is going to be a 33-30 game. I think everyone is going to play well. I hope everyone comes out healthy on the other end. And I think the Rams are going to kick a field goal at the end after Matthew Stafford leads them on a drive to put him in field goal range. And I think the Rams walk away with the victory.
I think this might be the best game of the weekend.
It might be.
It might be. It really will. I think there's going to be points put up on both sides. I think the advantage the Rams have is they're starting this season out with house money. And I think Detroit has been put into the hunted category. Much is expected of them because of what they did last season. And can they live up to that? I think week one, I think the Rams get that game. I love what the Rams could do offensively. Now you have a healthy Cooper Kupp to go with Puka Nacua. Their run game is tight. I just like everything about the Rams. And of course, look, if Stafford's healthy, the offensive line is a little bit better. Stafford might be the guy this weekend that throws for 400.
That's what I'm saying. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it because there are so many people who aren't just down on the Rams. They're like, oh, they're not making the playoffs. Like, how are we writing off a team that had no expectations going into last season? I understand they're the best defensive player in the league in the last 20 years. I get it. But you look at the weapons they have on offense. You look at the players they're developing on the offensive side of the ball. Cooper Kupp is healthy. The receivers are healthy. Stafford is healthy. If this is how that's going to stay, obviously injuries can derail any team. But you look, they were banged up. Cooper Kupp was banged up last season. Matthew Stafford was banged up last season. They were still a playoff team. And you're going to sit here and tell me some people that they're not going to sniff the playoff. I'm not buying it. I think this is going to be one of the best offenses in the league. I think they're going to have issues at times on defense, and that's what's ultimately going to hold them back. I can see them being a one-and-done wild card team this season, but I think they are going to make the playoffs. And I think that and this is what you're doing. You're putting this game in a vacuum. Because week one is weird. Week one is always weird in the NFL. You're always going to have your outliers in week one. And I think this is going to be one of those outliers. You're going to walk away thinking that the Detroit defense is worse than it really is, and that the Rams offense is better than it really is.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what you're really going to have is two playoff teams that have some flaws that played well, and one of them just has to win. and I'm taking the Rams to be the one that has to win. And I think they're both going to go and they're going to do their thing. I think Detroit's going to win their division. I think the Rams are going to take a wild card, and we might see this again in the playoffs.
And I'm here
at
for
which
it.
point I think Detroit would win. I think it will flip and Detroit
Agreed.
would win if they meet each other in the playoffs. But let me tell you this, Mo, it's going to be electric in Detroit. They are quickly developing in my opinion, one of the best home field advantages in the NFL. Who knew that all you needed in Detroit was a winning team and it would be fun to play in Detroit again? Who knew?
Well, let's remember that Detroit Lions fans are long, and I mean long suffering fans. So when you get a winner, yes, that fan base, they are ruckus, they are loud, but for good reason. They've been bad for so long. I mean, we could go back to the greatest, maybe one of the greatest players, if not the greatest players in Detroit Lions history, Barry Sanders. For the most part, those Lions teams were god awful, bad. Just horrible, bad. Waste of Barry's talents, waste of his career. I'm just saying, waste of Megatron's talents when Megatron was there. We can go on and on. Look, I think the Rams do win week 1. I think the Lions are still going to end up winning 12 to 13 games. They're going to win their division. So week 1 is not going to be like, well, the Rams are going to the Super Bowl and the Lions probably not going to make the playoffs, because we do that, right? There's going to be somebody in week 1 who rushes for 180 yards, and we're going to go. He might be the best running back in football, and he might finish the season with like 400 yards. So it's crazy stuff that does happen in week 1, but I don't think it's crazy if the Rams would end up beating Detroit in week 1. I don't think that's crazy at all.
We got the Bills and the Cardinals. The Cardinals are improved. The Bills are going to take a step back this season, in my opinion. But on paper, the Bills are still a much better team than the Arizona Cardinals. I think this game is closer than people think it's going to be. Until the fourth quarter, I think the Bills will pull away in the end. And the score is it's going to be a double-digit win. I think it's going to be like a 24-14 kind of thing. But I think it's one of those games where in the fourth quarter, you turn it on, and you're like, what? It's 17-14 Buffalo. What? Why is it this close? What is going on here? But I think in the end, the Buffalo is going to put double digits up on the Cardinals. I got Buffalo in this one.
I got the Bills as well, but I do think that Kyler and Harrison Jr. hook up a couple of times for touchdowns. I think that's going to be an entertaining duo throughout the season. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be a playoff contender. I think the Cardinals, to me, would do well to win 6 or 7 games. But I do think Josh and company will find a way to get the win. I also think that Buffalo is going to focus more on the run game, so it wouldn't shock me if they control the clock with their run game to get the win.
If you are the Bengals and you have everything that is happening with your team, what better team to open up the season with than the New England Patriots, who are going to be god-awful this year? Jacoby Brissett is their starting quarterback. Again, I think this might be one of those games that you turn on midway through the third quarter and you're like, why is it 13-10? What is happening here? Are the Patriots going to win week 1? And then they do what they do in the end. Joe Burrow is going to hook up with whoever he hooks up with, and you're going to get a score that looks a little bit better than it probably should be. I'm going Bengals to get the win, but don't be surprised if it's mucky into the third quarter.
Look, I think Gerard Mayo knows his roster. He knows what he has. I expect the Patriots to try to muck up every game, right? And I think they'll be able to do that to a degree with Cincinnati, because you're going to have T. Higgins and a couple of rookies. I don't know what the Bengals offense is going to look like, and it will struggle. And maybe you're right. It might take a half before Burrow and company to get into some kind of rhythm. I'm going to take the Bengals to find a way to win the game, but it wouldn't shock me if they get put on their heels and lose to a Patriots team they have no business losing to, because I do think you have to remember, no Mixon. Chase isn't coming out right now. They're not paying him his money. I don't unless something happens, I don't know, before Sunday, don't expect Chase to be out there. I do think it's going to be a grind of a game that they find a way to pull out.
Now, Burrow says Chase is good for week 1. He did practice yesterday, but again, he doesn't have this deal. So we'll see what happens when it comes game time. Texans and the Colts, I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but I think this game is going to be closer than people think it's going to be. This is a division game. This is a game where, guys, don't sleep on the Colts. They have talent over there on that team. It's week 1. You have a quarterback in C.J. Stroud who has heard all offseason that he is a top 3 or top 5 quarterback in the league. There is more tape on him. I'm not saying – I don't think the Colts win this game. I don't think they win this game, but I think it's closer than we think it's going to be. I think this is going to be a 7 or a 3-point win for the Houston Texans. I think it's going to be a last-minute field goal or a touchdown they score with like under 4 minutes to go, and the Colts just can't return and drive it back down the field. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think Houston's going to flex on Indianapolis, and I think fans are going to walk away from this game being like, is Indy that good? Or is Houston not quite what we built them up to be? Houston's still going to be a good team this season, guys. Stop freaking out, Houston fans. But this is going to be a closer game than people think.
I think in this game that I think the Texans are going to get a heavy dose of Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Healthy,
by the way. Healthy Jonathan Taylor.
And by the way, their offensive line is healthy. They have their starting line across the board is healthy. So a healthy Jonathan Taylor. The only key is, can Anthony Richardson make enough passes? Can he complete enough passes to make the defense respect the pass? Because if they don't respect the pass, there will be 8 or 9 men in the box to stop Jonathan Taylor. I do think it's going to be somewhat of a low-scoring game, but I'm going to give the Texans the edge in a close game.
I got the Saints over the Panthers because it's the Panthers.
Yeah. You know what? This is going to be one of the few times that I pick a Derek Carr-led team to win. So, yeah, I'll go with the Saints.
Vikings over the Giants because it's the Giants. I don't think the Giants are going to win very many football games this year. They could beat the Vikings, but I don't think they're going to.
This is going to be interesting. So, you got the Giants with suspect quarterback play. And then, of course, you got the Vikings who have young Steve Young.
Exactly.
So I should be favoring the Vikings. If you got any kind of part of Steve Young in you, you're clearly the better quarterback over Danny Dimes. I think the Vikings win just because I think the Giants' offense is going to be pretty bad. They don't have – I think the defense is solid, but it's not solid enough to make up for that offense.
Chargers and Raiders. My heart says Chargers, but I'm picking the Raiders here. I don't know what the Chargers are on offense. I did a fantasy football draft last night, and someone took some fella by his first name is Ladd, Ladd, and he's projected to have 180 fantasy points this season because he's the best wide receiver on the chart. Who is Ladd? What is going on? Who is Herbert throwing the football to? I have no idea who is playing offense for the Chargers right now. I like what Antonio Pierce is doing with the Raiders. I like Gardner Minshew. I think the Chargers win more games. But again, week 1, weird things happen. Raiders upset the Chargers. And Ladd.
And Ladd leads the way. Normally, I would agree. But as much as I like Antonio Pierce, even though the guy's a little crazy, I love Jim Harbaugh.
Ladd McConkey. Of course, Gene knows exactly who it is. Ladd McConkey from Georgia.
Not shocked that he knew.
Gene could probably tell me his height, his stats, what he ran, he could tell me all of it.
Right, in a heartbeat. I'm going to go with the mad scientist, Jim Harbaugh and company, pull out a low-scoring game.
We also got the Seahawks and the Broncos. I know that everyone is high on Bo Nix. I don't think that team has a lot of talent on it, though. I'm going to go Seahawks.
I'm going Seahawks as well. I think that it'll be interesting to see what Bo Nix looks like against starters when everybody's out there and all the ones are out there. But I do want to say this. What I saw from him, he could be Drew Brees-like. I think that's why Peyton loves him.
Yep.
So we'll see. Like I said, I don't think the talent around him though is that great. Other than Courtland Sutton, is it Courtland Sutton, the receiver? I think that guy's a great. The way he attacks the football, that guy's going to have a big season this year.
We got the Buccaneers and the Commanders. I know people are down on the Baker train, but I am still on it, especially week 1 against the Commanders. So I'm going Bucks over Commanders.
I'm going to go Bucks. I'm going to go Bucks over the Commanders. No, you know what? I can't. I love the Baker train. I was on it last year. I'm going to go with the rookie for an upset. I'm going to go with McDaniels on an upset. I think he makes enough plays to find a way to win.
We'll let you back on week 2. Don't worry. I'll keep your seat warm for you. We know you're going to come back to us. And then we have the Cowboys and the Browns. Man, does Deshaun Watson need a nice game to open the season just to shut everybody up? But I don't think he's going to get it. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to find a way to win week 1 because as much as Deshaun needs a nice game, Dak wants a nice game as well. Just to be like, hey, remember me? Oh, that's right. I'm still the MVP candidate quarterback, Dak Prescott, and this is still my team, the Dallas Cowboys, and we're still here to do things this season. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Dallas pulls it out 28-24, 28-21, something along those lines.
I think it's a close game too, but I trust the Cleveland defense to make plays, to make some plays late. I'm going to say Cleveland finds a way to win a close game. I'm going with the Cleveland. I keep wanting to say Cavaliers so bad.
You picked Cleveland. You didn't say a single nice thing about Deshaun Watson.
I think they win despite Deshaun Watson. He has one job. You don't have to throw for 30 touchdowns. Just if Deshaun Watson can look like Russell Wilson did with the Broncos,
all you need.
That's all you need. If he can do that, they'll be okay.
26 touchdowns, 6 picks.
Right, they'll be fine.
We need that Deshaun Watson. Yep. All right, Mo. That brings us to a close on a Thursday.
Thank you guys so much for joining Chris and I this morning. We appreciate all your support. Make sure you check out all the content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network. We appreciate you guys.
Guys, we are on a 72-hour break. We are back here on Monday breaking down everything that happened in week 1 of the NFL season. Also, we'll be previewing Mo's game here on Monday when the San Francisco 49ers play host to those New York Football Jets. Will Hassan Reddick have a new contract by then? I don't think so, but who knows? We'll find out. All of that